Gabrielle, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Money with Friends. Every week we come to you to share really great information about money because we say money encompasses everything, so we get to talk about everything on this show. On Let's Talk Money, we always have great friends with us because our topics, they're much better when they're being discussed with other people. I always say I rather have a dialogue than a monologue because we know it's a little boring when you do it on your own. So without further ado, I would like to say that tonight's show is going to be a powerful show, and you want to call your friends, tag, share, make a comment, let them know that we are live here on Let's Talk Money with Friends and that we are sharing timely information that you and your friends can appreciate. Tonight's topic, it's very important to me. It says how to create wealth matters. How you create wealth matters. The 5 key principles. We're going to go over 5 key principles. But as we know, economic disparities have made it very challenging for many to create wealth. However, with the right opportunities, it's very important to understand that there are still key principles that you must adhere to. So tonight, that's what we're going to talk about, the 5 key principles that you're going to need to adhere to after you've overcome all the hurdles, which we'll talk about briefly in order for you to get to the next level. Now, we say health is your wealth. Whatever wealth is, of course, we always think about money, right? But your wealth is so much more. So without further ado, let me welcome my friend who's on with me tonight, Katia. Why don't you introduce yourself quickly, Katia, and then we're going to dive into our very important conversation tonight.
Hello, Gabby. Hello, everyone. My name is Katia Magni, a friend of the show, of course. It's a pleasure to be here this evening with you all with such an important topic. I couldn't resist to be part of the show tonight. I've been a real estate investor in the Boston area for the past 3 to 4 years, focusing mainly on construction management. And I've met Gabby along the way in, networking and looking at opportunities. So it's a pleasure to be here with you all, and we will have great content for you tonight. So tune in, call your friends, and let's have a great show.
Yeah, let's have a great show. To me, it's a great opportunity. It's a privilege to be able to come on Wednesdays. I was talking to a friend, I was telling you offline, someone I met 10 years ago. She's from Brazil. She came to the United States to learn English. She ended up staying with me for a minute. And, out of the blue, she found me on social media and said, "Hey, Gabrielle, it's been a while. My gosh, you still look the same." I said, "Well, I've done my work." Right? You gotta do your work in order for you to look the same. You gotta do the
yeah.
That's we've been talking about it, right? Having a plan, right? For me, priority number 1 is your health, right? Is your wealth. We talk about the spiritual, the mental, and the physical work that needs to be done. So Katia, today's topic, how do you create wealth? Of course, wealth encompasses everything, just like money encompasses everything. But tonight we'll talk about, if you are someone who would like to build an asset, meaning like money, you would like to build your retirement or build savings for the future or whatever. How do you do that? Whatever you need to do, what do you need to do in order to get that? But before we go, when we're offline, we talked about there are disparities. There are challenges that will keep people from being able to get to that level, to even start thinking about creating wealth. What do you think about that?
There are the social condition sometimes where your environment, that's one of the key elements, because if you're in an environment where it's not being, people are afraid to even mention wealth or money, then people's mind are not open to it. Then therefore, they don't even know that it's okay. Some people think it's okay to be poor. It's okay to, it's a virtue to call themselves poor. So it's the environment counts a lot, and also it's being able to be open-minded, to at least welcome certain ideas, certain new thoughts, new visions, and open your horizon to different things. Then you'll be able to see, okay, where I am, of course it's not being thought about, but it's out there. At least let me hear what the other person have to say. So it's a lot. There's a lot of factors to that. So we're
Yeah,
gonna delve
yeah,
into it tonight.
yeah. You said that, you're saying that, sometimes it's environmental, right? Your
Correct.
environment, you are conditioned to think that this is not possible for me. And we were saying offline that, again, it's not only with money, it could be like with your physical health, different activities, doing something outside of the norms, right? Things that you're familiar with. And sometimes you find yourself in your home. I was talking to another friend earlier about the show, and sometimes you find yourself in your house actually trying to figure it out on your own, thinking
Correct.
that there's nobody available to help you because I must be able to do it on my own. And I was telling someone earlier today that this here that I'm doing, I started doing a long time ago. I would say 15 years ago, I went to my pastor and I said, listen, I love to talk about money. I studied finance and I've been working in the financial services industry for a long time. I would like to give back. And he's like, what would you like to do? I said, well, every Wednesday, I would like to, actually Wednesday, because we had midweek service.
Okay.
On
Yeah.
Wednesdays, I would like to come in and do a class about money. And actually, I had titled it God, Money, and You. God, Money, and You, because it was a church. I wanted to bring the biblical principles as well as the financial principles that I had learned in school, and also find out, what do you feel about money? So God, Money, and You. And one of the passages, yes, I'm going to preach tonight. Are you ready to preach? One of the passages that I used to share a lot was in Second King, right? Second Kings 4, right? You remember we were talking about that. Do you want to share a little bit? Yeah.
Is it the story of the woman with the little bit of oil, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So there was a woman in a certain city, and she only had some oil left, and she had a lot of debts. Her husband has passed away. She was a widow,
Yeah.
and she had a lot of debts, and she cried out to the prophet Elisha, I believe, and
Correct.
called on him and said, listen, your servant, my husband, has passed away. He left me with a lot of debts, and I
Yeah.
only I'm just waiting to die here with my son. And he said, what do you have at home? And she said, I only have a little bit of oil left.
Well, at first, I think Katya, she said, I have nothing. So going back again to what we said, not only, she was in the house trying to figure it out on her own. And initially she said to herself, when he asked, I have nothing, nothing. She said, I have nothing. And then except, right?
Except, correct. A
Yeah,
little bit of oil. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah, except. So many times you are sitting here, we're talking about building wealth. We're saying build your physical health, right? Your health is your wealth. And you're like, I don't have the time, I don't have the resources, I don't have this, I don't have that, I have nothing, right?
Yeah.
We're saying like, you can build your financial wealth, but I don't have this, I don't have the college degree, I don't have the good job, I don't have the husband to support me, I don't have the wife to supplement my income, I don't have this, I don't have that. And you find all the ways that you have nothing. Meanwhile, there are people who are coming in your space, including the show. We are saying, yes, you have something, except you have something. And that except for her was a small jar of olive oil, right? That's all it takes, a small seed. So yes, again, we want to emphasize the fact that we know there are disparities, there are challenges. You might be at home right now, pounding the ground saying like, what can I do to get to the next level because I'm struggling? Or you might be experiencing a legal battle that you've been experiencing for years. And you're like, how do I get out of this situation? Except, right? I always say, but God, right?
But God.
But God. So, but except for her, a little bit of oil. What do you have in your hands? What do you have? Is it your education? Let's find a way. Is it your skill set that you have? There was a movie we saw not too long ago, and it was about this woman who had a mortgage issue, and she made pies, right? And the pies eventually paid off the mortgage she had issues with. She was about to lose her house, and she had something except how to make pies.
How to make the
right?
best pie. Yeah, she
The
had the
best
best
pie,
recipe. Yeah.
So what do you have? What is your except? Except I have a great smile, that I can be a great hostess at a restaurant. Except that I'm a great babysitter. I can do that on a part-time basis and earn additional income.
That's right.
Except I'm a great seamstress. I can start sewing. Except I am a great teacher. I can start doing substitute teaching, or I can start doing I don't know, a teach as a tutor. Except I'm a great lawyer.
Caretaker,
Except I'm
yeah.
a great nurse. Except
Yeah.
whatever your except is, you know. Many times you're thinking you have nothing, because we can be very hard on ourselves, right? You
Correct.
have nothing, but you do have something. So again, we wanted to address the idea of disparities will exist. There will be challenges. There will be hurdles that you're gonna have to jump. Some of them are internal, right? Going to the gym, there are internal challenges. Do I really want to get up? Except I want to be healthy. Right,
Yeah.
Katya?
Except I wanna look fit in my clothes, right?
Correct. Yeah. There will be hurdles to jump, but it's up to you to make a decision to find out what that except is. So it's in 2 Kings 4. If you would like to read, go read that story, because to me it's a powerful story. It's so many lessons to be learned here, but this particular passage, part of the verse, I thought was great. You know, when she initially said, I have nothing, she said, I had nothing. I have nothing at all, except that little jar of oil. And that little jar of oil, that's what you need. So again, welcome to Let's Talk Money with Friends. Every Wednesday, we are here and we are sharing ideas. We have a plethora of knowledge. The reason for that is because we've always been passionate about this topic of money, finance, life, and everything else. And so every single week, we come here with something to offer you. So we don't want you to keep us a secret. We want you to share with your friends. Let them know that this show here, it's relevant, it's timely, it can help them find their accept. Because that woman, if she had stayed at home, maybe she wouldn't have been able to think about except for that little jar of oil. But because she went to Elisha, a friend, come to the show. You'll find your accept, because we will help you find it, right? We'll help you dig it out, right? So with that being said, we said that we were gonna have 5 key principles, right? What are the 5 key principles, right? To creating wealth. Because after you found your accept, now how do you build that? How do you build that? How do you keep pouring like this woman did and never stop pouring, and not only pay what you owed, but at the same time too, have something left for you and your children. So the 5 key principles, the very first key principle, can you talk about that, Katya? We said the very first principle is what?
Money. You mentioned that it's good to have money, which is if I understand well, that it's the seed, right? You need to have a seed. I wanna believe that more than money is a thought. It's is a vision. Because once you have that, then the money will come, or the money will come, and the money will find its way to you. So I guess it's, for me, it's being able to think and come up with the great ideas, because everything that's built, everything that exists really exists first in your thinking. You think about it, then you put it on paper, you plan it out, and as you plan it out, then the money will come. Will come to you. Therefore, the thought really, for me, the thought really brings the money out.
Yeah, definitely. And I think of the seed, like you said, like for this particular story, the woman, she had oil. That's all she had. She didn't have cash. She
Yeah,
had oil. But if you are someone who's trying to invest for your retirement, to save your for your kids' education or to buy a house, you need to have a seed. And typically that seed is money. You
for
have to
most
start
people,
someplace.
for
You
most
have
people,
to,
yes.
yeah, you have to have something to sow, and then you can reap a harvest. If you don't have anything, it's never going to happen. But how do you find money? Many times is the work that you do, right? Your job. That's why, again, we talk about having a budget. You tell your money what to do versus letting your money what to do, because money telling you what to do. Because if you don't have a budget or plan to spend your money, you'll spend it. Everybody will have their hands in your pocket, right? So it's very important to do that. You can start a business, right? To
Mhm.
generate income.
Correct.
And that also could be, I don't have anything except that idea
I
to
have
start
this
a
idea.
business.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. What about we've talked about that generational wealth, like leaving an inheritance, like parents leaving something behind for their kids. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, I think it's great, except for a lot of us from our culture, a lot of us didn't have that.
Yeah.
And I've spoken with quite a bit of individuals, and um, unfortunately, they do not think that it's okay to leave anything behind for the children, because they have this mentality that I've worked hard for this, and you have to work hard for yours.
Yeah.
However, it's very important that people, or our, you know, people start to understand that the reason why we're able to come here and enjoy this great country is because generations, forefathers before this generation here, had worked hard and made sure that they built something, and they passed it on to their children, and made sure that their children know how to manage and to keep the wealth going. Therefore, it's very important to start educating people about generational wealth, so that we can start building on our own and really stay home and build, and not so much leaving home and coming to a different place, and still not building the generational wealth. And it is,
No.
and people need to understand that they need to learn. Once you come somewhere, you see the wealth is being built, then you gotta, get into it and start building as well.
Yeah, you gotta get adjusted, assimilate into the community and find out how they do it. Because I mean, that seed we talk about, like so many challenges, like for folks, like, oh no, I don't want to, like you say, leave anything behind for my kids. They'll start. Whereas it could help them with that
Mhm.
seed to
Correct.
start somewhere. And
Correct.
also, when you have your budget, you tell your money what to do. You can allocate, you can put aside a small percentage of your money. And when I say small, depending on how long you have, a
Yeah.
small could be very small. Just like this woman, a small jar of oil, but guess what? It could be very small. So you have to start with something. Nobody can build anything out of nothing. If it's your health, you have to get up and go and do. Go to the gym for the first time, the second time, the third time. You gotta do something. You have to start somewhere. And then you can build from there, right? But
Right.
it's one thing to have the money. The other thing I think is very important, like I said, if you have a lot of time, a small amount of money is good to start building. But time. The second key principle is time, right? How
Yes.
important is time, right?
Time is very important. I mean, it's you time I like to believe, and I think we're living in this world where time is the most expensive commodity, because once it's gone, it's gone. You
It's
cannot,
gone. Yeah.
it's gone. However, we have to learn that we were created as human being outside of time. So we are able to manage our time. Therefore, it's important to make sure that we plan well,
Correct.
to manage the time, so that we don't regret having spent it the wrong way. It so happened that we do. A lot of us, I'm sure, I have stories where I could say, okay, I've definitely I would want to say wasted time. But as we grow, we understand that we could have done better with
Correct.
a little bit better information. However, we shouldn't dwell in the past and linger in those moments of defeat, but rather stand up and take it from where we recognize that we had
Mhm.
made those mistakes and move on, because this time that has gone by, we need to learn from it to be able to build and to grow for
Yeah.
the
When it comes to money, one thing you learn when you go to finance or studying finance, it's like time is of the essence.
yeah.
There's a formula called the time value of money. The time value of money tells you, listen, if you have time is a huge component of how much you can build over time. Time is important because of the fact that if you don't have a lot of time, someone who's waited until they're 50 to start saving for retirement at retirement age, perhaps at 65, it's gonna be different for them than someone who's 25, who's trying to retire at 65. You're talking about 15 years
Yeah.
versus 40 years. So someone who has 40 years to build whatever it is they're building, their strength, their health, or their finances, their income, they're building their portfolio in terms of like retirement portfolio or savings, whatever it is. That person who's younger is gonna be in a much better situation. Why? Because they're gonna need less money over time to build if you wait until what we cannot say it's too late. It's always the right time.
Also
However,
running out of time.
you don't give yourself enough time, you can actually do run out of time.
Yeah.
Because most people are looking to retire at what, 65, maybe 70, the latest.
Yeah.
And if you wait at 50, that's 20 years. If you start at 25, that's 45 years. So there's a big, huge difference between someone. So the 5 key principles to building wealth is you need money. You need to start somewhere. You need a seed. What is your accept, right? I don't have anything except you need to you need to turn that into money,
Great
whatever it is
idea.
that you have.
Yeah.
Yes, you have to have money. If it's your income, if it's your business, if it's a gig that you're doing, you have to allocate put away some of that money away for retirement. But the more time you have, the second principle is time, because the more time you have, the better it is. Now, Katya, you have time, you have money, but you are so fearful that everything that you save in is under your mattress. How important rate of return or return on your investment, what you get back as you're saving, how fast your money grows, how important is that?
Well, that's very important. I'm sure you can allude better on this, that it's a matter of education, because a lot of people are afraid of making investment because they don't want to lose.
Correct.
A lot of people are afraid of the risk. So life is a risk. Getting out of bed is a risk, because you can trip off of the steps and you fall down the stairs. So
Rich people, it's happening to one of the Trumps. Didn't she die from a fall recently?
oh, really? I didn't know that. I
Ivana,
wasn't aware
yeah,
of
the
that.
ex-wife. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah. It
Well, yeah,
happens to
so
everybody.
everything is a risk in life. Then, therefore, it's very important for people to be educated on
Correct.
investing and what to expect, the return, what is a return, and how to keep reinvesting, having the money make money and work for them, rather than them working for the money, but have the money make money for them, and the money is making babies for them.
Yeah, compounding interest. Let me
Exactly.
tell you, I love your explanation, because I went into finance school. I wanted to study finance. People said, why? Finance is not typically a Black person's profession, because I wanted to make it so simple.
That's
I
right.
wanted my grandmother, I know this Bell Hooks.
Mhm.
Bell Hooks, who is a feminist. She's written many books, and I read a couple of her books. One of the books is Feminism is for everybody.
Yeah.
And she said that the reason why she writes the way she writes is because she wants everybody to be able to understand. She
That's
didn't
correct.
want her books to be scholarly.
That's
And
right.
I think for me, it's the same way. I wanted to go to finance school and studied finance and business and taxation because I wanted to know it so well that I could explain it to anybody. Somebody with a GED or no GED to somebody who is a PhD but doesn't have the financial background. So
That's right.
going back again to the key principles of, yes, you need money, you need time, but rate of return, the return on your investment is important as well. You cannot be so fearful and say, you know what, I'm gonna save everything in my savings account, but it's for my retirement account. I have 40 years to retire. My mother told me a CD is the only option I should have because my mother grew up doing CDs or passbook account. And she tells me, if you can see it at the bank, that's when you're safe. No, you gotta go outside. That's why, again, we said that woman who was experiencing the challenges that she had, instead of staying at home trying to figure it on her own, she went outside and spoke to someone.
And for
The
help.
Bible didn't say Elijah was a financial advisor, but he was a wise counselor. And he said to her, what do you have? Let's work with what you have.
Yeah.
Listen, you're gonna have to go and speak to someone if your environment is very fearful. If your environment is not familiar with investing, you have to speak to someone who can help you, a financial professional, because it's important that you find like-minded people, maybe a club.
That's right.
We have a gentleman who comes on all the time, Curtis Chambers. He does a club weekly Thursday club. I forgot the name, but he does a weekly training with women and men who are looking to learn more about how money works and how can they invest. It's so important to find like-minded people. It's so important to find podcasts or shows like this who can help you think outside of the box. Because if you are staying within the box, it's gonna cost you. And also you definitely need to read books if you are able to read. You have definitely, not everybody can do that, but if you're someone who can read, who has the education in that, you gotta pick up those financial books and learn. Because the more you learn, the more empowered you will be, and the more you'll see, you know what? I cannot have everything. The reason I'm saying that, listen, I worked in banking for 10 years and I was not in the community, meaning like the, Black and brown community. I worked in the Caucasian community, and even those communities, folks were afraid because, there are certain people who just like never really ventured outside of bank products, savings, checking, CDs. They're afraid, and they will have $200,000-300,000 in a savings account. And you say, what do you need that money for? Oh, for my retirement. Oh, wow. You need to do something different. Do you want to sit down with a financial advisor to talk about the time value of money, how important it is to grow your money so that you don't lose purchasing power? We'll talk about that. That's the 4 key principle. Oh, I don't want to do that. I want to see my money.
Yeah.
So yes, you need money, you need time, you need to have great rate of return if your money is going to be long-term. If it's a short-term savings, you need to have it in your savings account. But if it's long-term, you got to put it in something that's going to grow. Why? We just talked about purchasing power. Were you part of the show that we did about inflation? Yes, you were.
No, I was not,
You
unfortunately.
were not?
No.
Okay, so share with the people. What do you know about inflation?
Somebody told me it happens every 10 years, but
That inflation? So the cost of goods, the cost of living gets more and more expensive every 10 years.
Exactly, yeah. Because when I first came to this country, I remembered my mother, the gas was about $1, right?
99 cents?
Yeah, and
I think it was like 70 or 65 cents when I first came here. I remember there was a gas station across the street from the apartment we had. And I used to look at it saying like, what is this? And of course, I didn't have to worry about that back then because I wasn't driving. But 65 cents, 59 cents, I remember. Yeah.
And when I came, it was $1. They started paying $99 something, and people were freaking out. The gas was going up, and so we all know. We go to the supermarkets this day. Everything is going up. The price of goods, they're going up because life, the cost of living is becoming expensive, and if, even though it's becoming expensive, then what people are getting paid, it's still the same. If anything, they want to pay them less because you have the machines nowadays that are doing all the work. AI is taking over. So everything is becoming the cost of living is becoming more expensive, essentially, with inflation. Therefore, people need to start understanding that they need to seek alternative ways of bringing in
Income, yeah.
money, incomes.
Yeah, it's very important because again, when we talk about the rate of return, if you have all your money under your mattress or AKA at the savings account at the bank, that money is staying there and it looks like you still have $100,000. But that purchasing power, meaning like what that money can purchase for you 10 years later, it's
Right.
not gonna be the same.
No.
My first brand new car was $12,000. Try to get a brand new car for $12,000 today. Good luck, Charlie, right? You cannot do that.
Good
So
luck.
therefore, it's very important that you keep up with inflation. And
That's right.
inflation, I remember years ago at one of the companies that I used to work at, they said the inflation is the silent thief. It's rewarding, it's taken away from you without you knowing. You're sleeping. It's
That's right.
almost like age. You're getting older every day, but you don't even feel it.
Slowly. Yeah, slowly.
Slowly. And then 10 years later, you look at your pictures. Again, my friend from Brazil, she was like, you look the same. I said, no, 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 no. Look at pictures from 10 years ago and today. Two different people.
Yeah.
It's the same way with your money at the bank or, inflation. You see $100,000 in 13, that 2023, that $100,000 with a little bit of interest, it's not the same value. So therefore, you have to take into consideration inflation, because inflation is one of those things. We talked about it, not only with gas price, but how much was a gallon of milk? You said going to the grocery, like 79 cents, 99 cents. Now it's like almost $4, if not more. Rent,
Depends. Yeah.
like housing.
Yeah.
I remember my older friend had an apartment, nice apartment. She paid $500 for it in Malden. Try to find an apartment for $500 today. You're talking about, yeah. So when you are in your 30s, 40s, you're saving for retirement. Don't expect when you get to 65, if you're blessed enough with health and be able to experience retirement, be here to experience retirement. Don't expect things to get cheaper. They're going to be more expensive. So that's why you have to be able to catch up with the cost of living. And the only way you can do that is whatever you're saving for that time, because you have to save for that time, because you're not going to be working anymore.
That's right.
That money has to be in an account that's going to yield enough return, a high enough return that can catch up with, catch up with inflation, but they outpace inflation. It has to be better than inflation.
With technology these days, the internet is creating a lot of wealth for people, because as they seek other ways to bring in incomes and the internet, because when you're connected with the world.
Correct.
Therefore, money come in even faster. And we used to think of millionaires as, oh my goodness, but now we have millionaires. They're being, every day you wake up, there's a new millionaire, right? Around the world, especially here in America. So that's how, the power of keeping your money and having it work for you and prepare for that time, because time is changing. Therefore, when the money is out there working, then it grows. It grows because the value accrues as the time goes. But if it stays with you under your mattress, as how people would do it, or in a bank account, the bank is changing. They're making money off of that money.
Yeah.
They shut down and change their whole system with your money, but they'll still give you the same
interest,
predetermined interest.
Yeah, because hey, if you're not willing to do the risk, somebody else is willing to do it. But again, it's calculated risk. You gotta know what you're doing, and you have to sit down or read about it, really educate yourself so that you can take calculated risk. You don't take risks that you cannot afford to lose. And knowing how there's so many components when it comes to investing. it's very important that you sit down with someone who could help you. A couple of weeks ago, we had a gentleman on the show. He's a financial advisor. Go watch that show. Call around and get some help, because you cannot say you didn't know, because tonight you've been informed. You
And there are
have to
plenty of
know.
books, even when you're driving, there's ebooks, right? They're even on YouTube. You don't even need to pay for them on Amazon. You can listen while you're driving, you're being stuck in traffic. You can even if you're not focused, but as you keep playing, then you'll remember something at some point, and that'll
Exactly.
be
You remember something, because again, we're talking about how do you build wealth. How you build wealth matters, and the 5 key principles. And many folks, I'm sure they're in a much better situation. Some folks might be watching like saying like, I don't have anything. But if you're at work and you have a retirement plan at work, a 401k, 403b, 457, whatever it is that they have available at work for your retirement. Now you just starting the job, you're in your 30s, 40s, or even 20s, and you're gonna be retired. you're gonna need money for retirement. So what do? You have to sign up for that retirement plan. That's the money.
Yeah.
Whatever that check is, even if it's $100 taken out of your account, 200, 500 a month, then you can start somewhere, because you have so much time. If you wait until you're 50, it's going to be different than if you start at 25, because you have time. That's the second component of it. The second key principle to building wealth: time, rate of return. Now you have all that money, you put it away, but you're so conservative, you put it all in the money market account or the savings or the fixed account at the bank, or another, with your retirement account, saying like, oh, I don't want to invest in the stock market. That's not a good idea, because what you don't know is gonna kill you. Inflation is a silent thief. It's gonna take away from the value of that money. And when it's time for you to retire, you're not gonna have enough money to cover all your expenses. So that's why you have to educate yourself about the market, or ask for help so that you can make educated decisions. At the end of the day, we said, number 1, you need money. Number 2, you need time. Number 3, you need to invest in the right set of accounts. Rate of return, a return on your investment is very important. Number 4, think about inflation, because inflation will eat away if you don't do what you need to do. But lastly, before we hang up here, with everything, right, Katia?
Yeah.
You've heard that song, tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes?
They never come, yeah.
Yeah, I know people that I've met 15 years. Oh, wow, I'm going to start that retirement account at work. I'm going to start doing it. And then every year they say, I don't have enough money to save for retirement. And then after 20 years, they're leaving the job with nothing. So procrastination is the 5th principle to think about, right? Procrastination. And that's with everything, right? What do people usually procrastinate on?
Well, it's even for instance, right? Somebody may have a great idea, but they either are afraid, or they're probably waiting for the right moment to speak with somebody, with an advisor, with somebody that will help them develop that idea. So people procrastinate with everything, because I want to say that it's a change, and a lot of time people are afraid of change. Therefore, it's very important that the issue of, okay, we have to do something, we got things to do, so we have to take the first step. The first step is very important, because once you take that step, then you're engaged. And sometimes you don't want to, people are afraid to get engaged, but procrastination definitely would, as you say, would make it, by the time 20 years passed, you're gonna go back and look at this picture on the wall and say, oh my goodness, I have changed, but I have not done much with my life. And we want to avoid that right now.
I know your health is your education. I want to get a degree, but tomorrow never comes, right? I want to go back to school to learn English or to learn another language. Tomorrow never comes. I want to start saving for my retirement or investing for my retirement. but I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes,
Yeah.
right? So
Mhm.
it's very important to understand that procrastination is a killer.
Yeah.
It's a killer. You have to get up. I don't know how much. And sometimes going back again to when you have folks in your life, sometimes God will position people in your life to encourage you to not procrastinate.
Yeah.
We've been saying your health is your wealth. I know friends who've called me saying, like, this year, Gabrielle, I'm going to the gym 3 times a week. And I see them at the gym because they decided not to procrastinate anymore. And I know folks who say, like, I'm gonna read 3, 4, 5 books,
Yeah.
a year. Last year I had goal to read 12 books once a month. I ended up with 10. I have 10 stories I can share with you. And I
Yeah.
think I've shared. The other day you called me and said, Gabrielle, I just saw that movie. You gotta see it. Frank versus God.
King versus
Great
God.
movie, Frank versus God. It's free on YouTube. And I was like, oh my God, I shared it with everybody. Procrastination. It's very important that you get up and do what you need to do, because at the end of the day, the time is always now. We say create a plan for 2023, but it's one thing to have a plan, it's another thing to have an action plan.
To act on,
You
exactly.
gotta get up. This morning, did I feel like going to the gym? The answer is
Maybe not.
no. The answer is no. I didn't feel like going. I wanted to stay in bed. I wanted to feel comfortable, But you know what? I needed to get up. I wanted to get up because, again, my plan is to exercise 3 to 4 times a week and to be healthy, to live a healthy lifestyle. And if that's your goal, you have to do something, right? Opportunity of a lifetime. Years ago, a manager told me, opportunity of a lifetime is in the lifetime of the opportunity. You gotta take advantage of the time you have today, right?
Right.
The time is always now. Do
Yeah.
you agree?
I totally agree with you. I couldn't agree more. It's fighting this bad habit that we harbor within, and get up one day and say, you know what? I'm the master of myself, of
I
me,
think,
and
yeah.
this is what I want to do. This is what I'm thinking about. And how do other great people ever do anything? It's taking a stand, or getting up one day and say, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take that first step. And once you take that first step, you realize that, oh my goodness, it's freedom. It's
It's
liberating.
freedom. I've never gone to the gym and come out and say, oof, I hated the fact that I went. No, it's always like, thank God I went against my procrastination and actually got up and did it. And with everything else, you never see somebody graduating saying like, oh, I regretted going to school, or I regretted doing
But
this.
it was painful.
It was painful. There's a lot of work, commitment, sacrifices. You have to get help. No one is an island. If you find yourself doing the same thing and expecting different results, you are an insane person. Yes, that's it. That's it. Insanity, right? Is doing the same thing and expecting different results. So many times, God or whatever you believe in will position people in your environment to say, listen, there's a better way. Let's try to do it differently. I'm here to encourage you. And many times, instead of getting the encouragement, you're pushing. This woman here in 2 Kings 4, she went for help, but many times people will go for help. And when you give them advice, and they're like, oh, this man
That's
is crazy. You mean a
compromise.
little bit of oil, but I can go ahead and borrow as many jars as I can find to start pouring. How is that gonna work? Please, you are crazy, senile old man. She didn't do that. She went back home and
She
did
has
it
nothing to
exactly.
lose.
Hmm?
She had nothing to lose.
She had
Why not?
nothing to lose. She decided that she had nothing to lose and
Correct.
decided to do exactly what he told her to do. And because she followed through, she was able to get out of her bad situation and ended up in a much better place. So tonight, I would like to encourage you to find yourself in a much better place. 30 years from now, I will not be on this air here telling you about this, but you would have remembered that Gabrielle was here at no cost to you, encouraging you with Katia to not procrastinate, to take advantage of the time that you have, to start sowing a seed, to think about the return on investment, and to also think about inflation as you're building your wealth. Yeah, thank you so much for your time tonight. The time is always now. You have to get the discipline to do whatever it is, whatever wealth is for you. whatever you have written in your plan, you have to put the work behind it. Nobody else, but of course, you can get help. We are here for you, and there are plethora. There's so many other people in your environment. I can guarantee you that are here for you too, but you have to ask them. Ask them for help, and they will lead you into the right direction. So thank you so much for your time. Do you have one last thing, Katia, before we say goodnight?
Well, I think you've said it all. It's I would like to encourage everybody out there, if you're watching us, or anytime you come across this video, to really take a good thinking about your life right now, and dig deep, understand what the past is the past, but you have your time. The time is now to take action, and start thinking right, start thinking about those great ideas that you have. Those are your seeds that you're going to put to work, and start thinking about how do you bring that seed into reality to be able to build wealth. And the wealth is not only for you, but it's for the generations to come. And
And the sign behind you, what does it say, Katia? It's
the
long
sun
road,
behind you, oh, it's
but
gonna be
it's worth
long
it.
road, but it's gonna be worth it.
Yeah,
It's
it's worth
not
it. It's a
going to
long
be
road.
hard.
It's not
It's not gonna
easy.
be easy, right?
It's-
There are people that build wealth, that build companies that we're enjoying right now, even Zoom, Facebook. If we sit down with those folks, and they'll tell you, you only see the result, but you don't know what had happened, the long nights. And even yourself, you probably have stories. Myself, even to sit down here, it wasn't easy. It's not even easy. There are things that are happening in the back, but we're still stand, because this is how we move forward. So I'm very happy. I hope that everybody can make this their 2023 mission, to make sure that you make plans and you take the first step toward that plan.
The one thing, and that one thing will lead to another. So good luck to you.
Good
So,
luck, everybody.
let your friends know that we are here every Wednesday on live on Let's Talk Money with Friends. And this show is worth it. I know that for sure. Please share with your friends.